This moment, what you're seeing right now, is the last thing I'm gonna record in this studio like this, or at all. I might do a little like BTS thing, or this might descend into some kind of vlog if this ever even becomes a video. But I'm moving in a couple days, and I finished all the videos I had to finish before the move. You might have already seen them by now. So I'm ready to tear down the studio, and so I thought, might as well, capture the moment. So this right here is the last shot of this angle with the purple wall, the whole Gerald Undone thing. This is it. And now I'm gonna tear down the studio and set up a whole new one and face all those challenges. And maybe bring you guys along for the ride and we can see if there's anything to learn, share my experiences with that. But anyway, this is a kind of I don't know, it's a significant moment for me. The entire Gerald Undone channels, maybe except for like one or two videos at the very beginning, were shot at sort of different angles in this space, constantly trying to improve and change it around. And it's gonna be weird to move out of here. But I guess, yeah. Let's get undone.
Gerald Undone. He's crazy.
Okay, so I am moved in the sense that all my stuff is here, but I'm trying to set it up now. And as you can see, it's a complete disaster. But this is the space, so it's much bigger than my previous space. It's got this crazy ceiling that I'm working on attaching sound panels to right now. But you can hear probably how echoey it is in here. So the first step, I can't really put anything in place because I want to get the shot right. So busted out a tripod. So yeah, I think the next step is I'm gonna throw a camera on here, and you can tell I don't vlog very often. I don't know where I'm looking. I don't like this. What am I doing? I'm gonna throw a camera on here and see what the shot looks like, and then build around that probably. So I already got the computer set up over here. I left the white balance the way that it is so that you can see how warm the lights are in here, but obviously I'm gonna be replacing those with my own light. I think I might use the 600D and the sound panels and maybe like a big lantern and just kind of like space light this whole thing, like just turn the 600D way up and see what happens. Okay, so don't worry too much about this shot. I was just about to hang the sound panels, but then I thought it would make more sense to get a before sound. So this is what it's like now. I think this is pretty good as far as like where I'm gonna be. The microphone is just out of the shot, just there. I'm using the MKH50 from Sennheiser, and I've got my Zoom F6 just out of frame right here as well. And I believe the levels and everything are the same as they used to be. Anyways, this is what it sounds like in here. Here's a little bit of just what the sort of noise of the place sounds like. And then this is me, talking, clapping. Echo, it is a bit wet in here for sure. So I'm gonna put up the sound panels now and then I guess do the same recording again and see how much of a difference it made. All right, I'm gonna stop for the night because I am exhausted. I got a lot done. Still haven't really figured out the shot behind me. I'm still working on that, but I got tons of sound panels up and organized a lot of the space. So does this sound any better? Hopefully it does. This is still kind of a big open space, so it still sounds a lot more reverberant than my previous space was. And even if I treat it the same, it's still gonna be more reverberant. But I wanna add some extra things in here, like a sofa and some area rugs and stuff, and I think that should help with the sound as well. But if we're even, halfway or 80, I would like to be like 75% of the way there right now, because then the rest of the way I can probably deal with some more stuff. But how's it sound now? Echo. Echo. I can still, it's definitely not as dry as my last space. Oh well. All right. Done for the night, back at it tomorrow. Okay, so I decided to go ahead and pick up from here. And I think this is gonna be, I'm gonna give you my final tour now. It's not completely finished, but I just got word that the deliveries that I need for a couple rugs in here and a sofa and things, which should help for sound, is gonna take a couple more weeks. So we'll do this as like a first part, show you the set because it's done, and then maybe I'll follow up and we can see how the audio improved. It's still a bit echoey in here. There's a couple more sound panels I could hang and a little bit of work I could do, but I'm just gonna have to deal with the fact that it's a bit more cavernous. Once I get the rugs and the sofa, it might help a little bit, but maybe I don't know. I'll play with it in post and see how it sounds. I don't think it sounds terrible. And I kind of like that maybe it's a bit more lively because it is a bigger space. But I also want the audio to sound good, obviously. Okay, so let me just give you a little bit of a tour around what I got set up so far. Actually, we'll start with the lighting of the main shot here. So I've got a camera rolling over here too, so you can see it a bit wider. I did this on social already, so some of you might have already seen this, and if not, make sure you follow me on Instagram and or Twitter at Gerald Undone so that you can see these things sort of as I do them all the time. All right, so let me, oh, I don't even have that light on. Shows what I know. There's the completed shot. Okay, so let me turn all that stuff back off again. So when I post this, a lot of you were like, you should just leave it like that, just the backlights. Yeah, that's fun, but then if I want to show a product, I mean, you're not gonna be able to make it out. Anyway, what was that? I'm also expecting a delivery today, so that's why I have my phone there. Another one of those wheeled stands, these newer wheeled stands you can get on Amazon. They're kind of like, you know, tri-wheelbase C-stands. They're really great so far and quite affordable. So a little bit early on, I don't want to give them like a full review, but so far for the money, they seem like a pretty good option. So behind me is, that's the VL150 behind Light Dome Mini. It's the same setup that Light Dome Mini 2, the same setup that I had in the other place. The only difference is now it's out of the shot. Some of you are asking, I thought that was deliberate. It was sort of deliberate to have the hair light in the shot, but I also had lower ceilings, so it was kind of like, do you want just a little bit of it in the shot, or do you want just put the whole thing in the shot and kind of lean into it? So that's what I did. But here I can get it completely out, so that's good. Got a key light here. This is the 300X. I was using the 300D Mark II before, but I'm using the 300X now so I can change the temperature on it to match, to get all of these to sort of even out, because there's a bit more, when you just buy daylight lights, sometimes they're not exactly like 5600 Kelvin. Some are warmer, some are cooler. So I got out the Sekonic and I was measuring the different lights. Here, let me turn this one on. And I was measuring the different lights, and once I dialed in the temperatures of each, I was able to get a 5575 Kelvin with 0.0 green magenta shift. So all blended together, we have a really neutral light. So those are those lights there. And I might tweak the intensities of them as I go. And then lastly, I have the Aperture 600D Pro with the Lantern 90 on top. And this is just kind of like a space light because you might be able to see from that camera angle, especially over there, different corners are quite dark in here. So this is also going to be sort of a general purpose, just kind of light up the whole space. And I can do whatever combinations of these that I want. I have a few different lighting options, especially if I want to shoot some product. So I could turn off just the key light, but leave the space light on. I could turn them both off. So that's good. It's working well. But this is sort of the brighter shot. And you may remember me saying that I wanted to have sort of a brighter shot. I had that dark, moody purple background, which was fun, but it was harder for showing products. I had to have a whole bunch of different lights to balance it out, and then I got really flat lighting out of it, which then required me to really boost the contrast in post in order to offset that. And then when you boost the contrast too much in post, you get harsher things like on your skin and harsher lights, highlights and stuff like that. So now I don't have to do that at all. The contrast is quite low, and this is all done with lighting, which is nice. And you can still make out products really well. And I don't have any lights in here now. So it's actually fewer lights and it lights better. So that's great. And then as far as YouTube goes, the background here, I haven't seen it yet as an upload, but we're looking at it right now at the same time. I think we should see far less banding, a lot fewer issues than what I had with the purple background. And that's for two reasons. One, this background is busier now, so that will break up the compression that sort of, you know, when it causes that banding. And also there's no gradient that would lead to banding, and darker, there's fewer dark corners. So dark gradients are just obliterated by YouTube. So now we have a brighter non-gradient, so should be great. Oh, and I have two lights in the corner. They're out of the shot because I don't think I'm huge on tube lights in the shot. I think it might be, I've seen it a lot. So I'm trying to do something slightly different, but also the same. I don't know. Anyway, so they're out of the shot, but they're still doing that tube lighty thing. And what's great is that if I want to do, like, you know, product stuff, if I turn off these other lights and I put, then my product shots are still going to get that like purple and orange rim on it, which I like, but without needing to tweak the lighting as much. So that's cool. Easy is better if you want to make content, you just want to jump in and shoot it. So those are the Nanlite Pavo tubes. Those are the Nanlite, the long ones. And I think that's it for lighting. Last thing I should mention, because some of you have been following the channel for a long time, I've noticed this. So this is kind of a fusion set now. So this last year, 2020, I started, I think, in like December 2019. I was using that purple backdrop set. That's when I started working on that. But prior to that, you might remember that I had sort of a tight shot with these shelves behind me and less purple, but there was like shelves and there was Edison bulbs and a blue light and stuff like that. So now it's kind of like the two ideas are mixed. Since then, I've developed my branding more with the purple and the orange. And so now it's like the shelves from old days with stuff on them, but no more Edison bulbs. Now it's more purple and orange. And so it's kind of like a hybrid of the last two sets, hopefully tying it all together. And we'll see how this works for different types of backdrops. So for the old fans, this is a bit of a throwback. And to the new ones, well, hopefully this still feels Gerald Undone for you. It's a weird sounding way to say that. And one thing I want to mention too while I'm on it is that regarding that whole 2020 period, I've been working with One Extra. I mentioned this before, they're a captioning service. And they've recently just finished, they're going through my back catalog and adding captions to all my videos. There were already some automated captions, but I know sometimes for certain videos, you can't control when YouTube will generate captions or not. And sometimes I know I have some viewers that really rely on the captions either because of hearing impaired or because it's easier for you to follow along. And so this video isn't sponsored by One Extra. This isn't a paid sponsor message, but I just wanted to share that I've been really happy with their service. And they've been doing all my new videos. So probably by the time this video is up, this will have One Extra captions on it, which are fantastic, by the way. That's the reason why I'm using them is they're so good. And they've been working on building a glossary with me. Well, it's pretty much done at this point of all the technical terms that I talk about so that I know that the quality of the captions are good for also all the like nitty gritty details, which obviously are important to you guys because you're all camera nerds, right? Anyway, so One Extra is fantastic. Thanks so much to them for captioning my videos. I'll put a link in the description. If you're, doing something like me or YouTube or whatever, you want like a quality service that's, manually checked and reviewed by actual people and not just bots, and that do a really good job with technical stuff, One Extra is the way to go. Okay, let me show you, I guess, like what we are going back here. It's not that different, but we'll take a look at it. This is weird to kind of shoot. I've got a tripod set up here, and I'm just trying to move around the hand. This is so much easier when you have somebody following you around with a gimbal. This isn't getting much of a studio's Undone. Anyway, okay, so we got this shelf here. Up top, these are empty boxes for things that I'm currently using. I'm not a box hoarder in general, but things that I think might have value to keep the boxes to, I do keep them. This shelf is for test shots. You guys have probably seen it in a lot of my videos and stuff. Focus charts, color checker, some detail objects, which are, kind of nice. I'm shooting this, by the way, on the Rode Video Mic NTG on top of the Ninja 5, so see how the audio sounds? Might not be as good as when I was using the Sennheiser over there. This next shelf down, this is the charging station. So here we've got some dual charger plates that I can use for Sony L series, Sony FZ100, Canon LPE6. This is a USB charger that I use to charge my phone, other power delivery things. V-mount charger from Bebob, this thing's great. And then this is the Aperture MC4 light kit. And fun fact, I took the lid off of that briefcase thing, and so now it's just open and I can just like grab a charger or grab a light and stick it in the charger. I don't have to have a lid coming up there. V-mount batteries, Sony L series batteries, other batteries in the back, and then like power banks and stuff like that. This one's great. This is that Zendure one that I talked about before. Down here, I'm putting Aperture boxes for the lights that I'm using, but also just kind of like showing off Aperture because I think this is such a bad video. I think I'm looking at the Atomos the whole time, so I know what I'm pointing at. I don't vlog, guys. I don't vlog at all, ever. Okay, this is not my thing. This is also just kind of like repping Aperture for them because they've provided me with a lot of these lights. So it's like there's your sort of. I've got like a little billboard for them in the video on both sides. Lighting's kind of crazy. I'm getting to see all the different lighting as I move around, so that's kind of interesting too. Okay, so we got the pegboard here. This has been in other shots before. I use all these tools. Have them laid out in a way that I like. Purple pegboard, I think it looks great. Fun fact, this used to be screwed into the walls. I'm going to talk about the sound panels in a minute because the way I put those up is, I think, fascinating. Okay, well, I'll tell you right now. So these sound panels, so I posted a story about this, but this ceiling is like steel, and I didn't want to drill into it because you'd have to drill in through there, and then there's like concrete above it. It's a whole big mess. It would have taken forever to drill as many holes for these sound panels. But because it's steel, it's magnetic, so I've got these magnets that are supposed to, hold like 75 pounds. I wouldn't say they're good for 75 pounds, maybe like 15, 20 pounds. But I have 4 of them on each panel, and the panels are only 15 pounds, which is what, 8 kilos? And they're so strong, like, here, let me pan you over here. So, they're like crazy. See what I mean? Like, it's insane. Anyway, so I was able to hang these four per panel in the ceiling, and then just hang the sound panels from that, so I don't have to drill anything. Now I know some of you are going to be like, oh, what about earthquakes? Well, we don't get any earthquakes here in Southern Ontario, so I mean, historically there's been a couple, but I think that'll be fine. And another question many of you asked was, don't magnets lose their power over time? And the answer is not really. They do, but it's like 1 to 2%, nothing that's really going to be noticeable. The main thing you got to watch out for with magnets is like heating them up. That can have an effect, but this is a climate controlled environment, so I should be fine, and the residual loss of magnetism over time will take years, and I still won't even notice the impact of it. So it seems like a viable solution. However, I am not advising you to hang things from your ceiling with magnets, because I don't know where you live or what the situation is there, what your place is like, and I wouldn't want things to fall and be like, Gerald told me to hang it with magnets. But speaking of magnets, and one of the reasons why I brought it up is I was also able to hang this pegboard with magnets to the side of the shelves and then hook them in, and now the pegboard's actually just kind of floating on magnets between the two shelves, which is great because I didn't really want to drill as many holes in this place, like into the wall and that kind of thing. And I used to drill the shelves into the wall, or like anchor the shelves to the wall too. I don't have to do that anymore because of the base and everything. So really this is all just kind of floating there, but it all sort of supports itself, and I'm pretty happy about that. So cut mat on top. This is a Husky tool chest, which is, you know, good if I want to work on it. Top drawer. You guys see in there a little bit? Yeah, so I don't have somebody following me around, so it's going to be harder, but I'm going to do my best. Over here, just kind of like plates and mini tripods and that kind of thing. Lens caps, especially if I'm in, like this is for the 20 mil right there. I put my lens caps in here so I always know where they are. Cleaning supplies up front, you know, rags, rocket blower, swabs, that kind of thing. This is all filters and step-up rings, mostly Polar Pro stuff. What else do we got? In these two drawers, this one's all like measuring tools, so you know, for checking sound levels. This is a Sekonic spectrometer. This is for USB, you know, voltages, color charts, that kind of thing. That's all goes in here. This next drawer is power rigging. So, you know, you want to put a V-mount plate on something. I've got a whole bunch of different V-mount plates. This next drawer down is mostly the video version of that. So wireless transmitters, SDI to HDMI, HDMI cables, all sort of like video transmission to one effect or another. Over here, it's USB. So all my different USB cables kind of separated out based on, you know, knowing what's where. That's micro B, that's USB type C, that kind of thing. Rods, clamps, cage parts, PC stuff. So, you know, CPUs, motherboards, drives, audio. So microphones, XLR cables, lavs, you know, all kinds of stuff in here. This is all audio. That's my audio drawer. Okay, completely different lighting again. So now we're on this side. This is where the purple pivot tube is. Up here, these are boxes that actually have things in them. It's like, don't throw these out because there's things inside of them. Then down here, I've got cameras and lenses that I use most often. So a lot of Sony stuff right now, obviously. I got the 90mm, the 100 to 400. Can you even see that through the shelf? Let me pull you around a little bit. Like I was saying, 90mm, 100 to 400, Sigma 24 to 70. Love that lens. Got a couple camera bodies. That's the A7 III, the A7R4. I'm shooting this on an A7S III, and this A7S III is still running as well. Little camera rigging components, you know, obviously it's like just regular screws and stuff in here, but also just little adapters and that kind of thing. They're all filled in here and organized. Tools, and then another aperture bag for branding. This normally wouldn't be here. This is my next video probably. That's the Rotolite. Oh, geez, that's heavy. That's the Rotolite Titan X1 that I'm working on next. But another aperture thing, and then down here is just cardboard boxes from either packages that have to work on or ones that have to go back. This is kind of just like, you know, up and coming video section. Guitar, put some sound panels up, piano. This is nice to be able to actually like play and not be under something and also have it in the corner. There's a much better sound stage in here than there was in the other place, which is nice. Spinning you around a little bit more. This is just a curtain in front. If I wanted daylight, I could use that, but obviously I black it out. Computer desk over here. This is the sit stand desk I talked about before from Autonomous. Computer setup, obviously. I got like my NAS down there. I've gone over all this before. I've got other videos on it. And then another curtain there. Now this is the corner that's not done and hopefully will help with the sound. So I was thinking 2 rugs. One I'm gonna put here in this area, and then one I'd probably put maybe down over here where I shoot, like in this area, to help with the sound. But I'm also gonna make this kind of like a little hangout den thing. So I'll put that TV, I'll get like a little media unit, put the TV on there, on that wall, and then maybe put like a sofa. Okay, so this is from behind. Obviously there's the Sony. The 20mm lens makes everything, like that looks really far away even though I'm touching it. Look at that. It's so weird, right? Anyway, Sony a7S III, got the Ninja 5 set up there. This is the light from behind. I think it looks cool from this angle. It's kind of like, I don't know, it looks neat. Over here, kitchen. I don't know if I'd leave these lights on normally, but I left them on because of being able to see as far as this like BTS video. And then let me just go show you where I've got all my stuff stashed over here. Okay, so you are now in the foyer with me. Apologize for the gross overhead light. But this is where I'm keeping everything on. It's nice to have this storage because before I didn't, and it's quite deep as well. So, you know, I've got all the bags for the other lights that I'm using, and tripod stands and bags and everything for all that up here, down here. So just nice to have the storage now, and I can close it on up when I want to. This is the screen I'm using. I've told you about this before. This is that BenQ display, but I never actually showed you how I'm monitoring myself. So I just have this like screen right below my camera there, and that's what allows me to see myself. And I just busted out the DSC Labs chart here to kind of point at myself, and I just dialed in the white balance and, you know, fixed a little bit of color correction stuff, and I just made sort of a color grade that I can just apply on all my clips moving forward. Okay, so I feel like that's the end of the video. I don't really have anything else to talk about. I prefer doing this kind of stuff on social because you can just record like a 15-second segment versus what is this video even gonna be? 25 minutes of me rambling on? But this is kind of what I've been doing, and this is where I'm at right now. And I feel like, aside from the audio not being perfectly dialed into the way that I would like it, obviously, if you've been watching my channel, you're used to getting the audio was, like, not trying to brag, but the audio was, the space was so well treated, the audio almost seemed like eerily well controlled. And I don't have that now, so it's bugging me a little bit, but I feel like the setup right now is good enough to get on to making videos like the roto light and that kind of thing, and working on making some content without being too, it always takes time. You can do as much as you can in the first stages to try and, you know, do the best you can based on everything you've learned up to that point. But it's always gonna take a little bit of tweaking and finessing. So if I were to leave you the piece of advice, I guess it'd be something like that, is do your best to set up the shot, your studio, your home space, whatever it is, set it up as best you can, and then work in it a bit to be able to figure out what you need, what you want to improve, what you don't like. You can never get it all right the first try without even shooting a video. I'm gonna have to shoot probably 3, 4, 5. And it took me probably 6 months of the previous year to get it to exactly where I wanted it. So, I mean, you can probably do it faster the next time around, but I think I'm still gonna have to do a few videos before I'm perfectly content with what's going on. This is great too, I wanna know how much this mic is picking up of what's happening on the other side of that door. Anyway, little things like that. You learn as you go. Okay, that's enough talk. But that's gonna be it for me. I hope you found this video entertaining, or at least helpful. And if you did, make sure you leave the old thumbs up and consider subscribing if you haven't already. But if you did not find this video helpful or entertaining, try setting the playback speed to 75%. All right, I'm done.